Yai Miko's got a passive talent that converts her elemental mastery into more damage on her E ability. We call this hybrid scaling. In other words, one attribute converts into giving you more value on another attribute simultaneously. A good example of this, or another example, is the Raiden Shogun with her passive talent, the Enlightened one, which essentially converts energy recharge into more electro damage bonus and energy restoration. So with Yaimiko, you might be tempted, like a lot of people were, and build a lot of elemental mastery on her, and you would be surprised to find out that no, in fact, the overall damage does not increase. So theoretically, the argument would go, well, if you don't use, let's say, an attack percentage stance, but an elemental mastery stance instead, then the loss of damage will be compensated for by the fact that your reaction-based damage should sort of increase, and therefore on average it should even out. Now, this is what I think a lot of people thought about initially, or a lot of theory crafters would have thought about, but practically it doesn't really work like that. Just for a couple of reference points, my Yai Miko with all three turrets active loses damage from 26k with an attack percentage chance to about 23k per hit with the elemental mastery stance. So you can see there's definitely a loss of damage there. The other component of increasing reaction based damage might seem to make up for it, like I said earlier, but in practice it actually evens out to be quite a bit less, like if you just look at averages and so on. So does this mean Yai Miko is a failure of a hybrid scaling character? Well, not really. It just means that you should not even be building elemental mastery onto her. You should be passing elemental mastery. In other words, the hint that we've been given here by the developers is to use her in teams that enable reactions. And I think this is like makes perfect sense. So you've got these totems from Yaimiko that are just passively on the field, like with Fischl's Oz. They hit quite a lot of enemies randomly in an AoE, so they're applying Electro all over, and this then enables you to do more reaction based damage. So it completely makes sense that another character that can specialize, for instance, in enabling reactions would be the one passing that elemental mastery onto Yaimiko. And I think this is the proper way to think about her, and indeed if you do sort of use her in this way, you will find quite a bit of success. Another argument that I've seen is that a lot of people have said, yeah, we get that Yaimiko's passive talent's not that great, but at least it reduces the variance on the artifacts. And I think that is a pretty bad take for a couple of reasons. Firstly, if you're an F2P player, the increase in damage is so marginal that's not really going to be worth it over some other substats that you could have gotten. And if you're a whale, then yes, the elemental mastery increase does become significant with all the constellations, but so does any other sort of substat. In other words, if you are this sort of whale type of player, you're more likely to have better artifacts than the average person, unless you're me, of course, and then you will then definitely gain more from your other artifacts than just having a couple of rogue substats on elemental mastery. I don't think it makes such a significant game change in terms of the substats, and I don't think really that's the intention or that's the way you should be thinking about Yaimiko. Elemental mastery is not something that you care about in terms of build and so on. It's something you care about when passing it to Yaimiko. So Yaimiko, in my opinion, has got like two sort of ways you can play her. In some sort of reaction-based team or sort of taser team, she's really, really good. You can see my sort of initial Yamiko videos on it. And then I think ultimately her best sort of team is actually with Raiden. Yes, you heard me correctly, with Raiden. I think much better than actually with Raiden and Eula. Raiden and Yai really, really pair well when you look at all of their sort of synergies, the energy restoration, the passive damage. All of it really, really works well. We've also done quite a bit of an in-depth analysis on that, but I do think there is a place for Yamiko, and the community will just need some more time to get used to her, especially her bit of different playstyle. But yeah, guys, that's all that I've got to say on Yai. Thanks for watching. Cheers.